It just thundered a minute ago if you end up hearing anything. So I've been thinking about fans and celebrities and this idea it's always gone on a little bit, but like with celebrity gossip or anything like that, people seem to think that fans should get a life. And yeah, but Hollywood has always needed fans. That's how it works. I've been a fan my whole life. I think there are celebrities right now who are still working, or they're on Twitter or they exist somehow, who I've been a fan of for basically 40 years. Um, and when you're a fan, yeah, you go to the person's movies, yeah. But I remember, especially with when the prequels came out, the Star Wars prequels, and some Star Wars fans complained. There were fans who were like, "Well, if you're a fan, you wouldn't complain." And it's like, wait a minute. A fan is not a mindless zombie. A fan is not a mindless groupie who just consumes what you put out, whether it's of quality or not. And that was the first time I really got an idea that people had an attitude with what fans should do. And now, um, I don't know. You hear more of that, people attacking other people for being a good fan or a bad fan, but especially Hollywood seems to think we're just there to consume. Um, you put out a product, we're supposed to like it and pay for it, and shut up about it. And if you give us a product that's a lack of quality, we're not supposed to say anything. We're not supposed to complain. We're not supposed to speculate about what the problem is or who's at fault. But meanwhile, if I bought something at McDonald's and it was undercooked or it had pickles when I didn't want pickles, I can go back and complain and I can get a new one. Or if you have a problem with something you bought at Walmart and you bought some shoes and they, I don't know, are giving you a problem because they don't fit right, you take them back and get a refund. That's not how Hollywood works. You don't get a refund. But as far as films and everything else go, there's always been film criticism. And as the internet came, there were things like Rotten Tomatoes and the IMDb where fans could vote on movies, give them a score, and there were message boards. I mean, the first message boards I went on the internet was to talk about movies. The IMDb used to have message boards on the bottom of everybody's page, like every actor or movie's page. They took those away, which sucked because there was a point in time where I would go back wanting to know something about a movie, like where was it filmed or some specific question about the movie, and I knew that if it had been before and those message boards were still on the bottom of each page, the answer would be there and I would just find out. But they weren't there anymore and nobody put them in the FAQ. And certain movies that you liked, there were people who would go there and you would talk to them, and it was a community of fans because fans were something. But then I think they took those message boards down because it started to be a thing when you went on the IMDb that if, especially male celebrities, there'd be like at least one thread or subject, of the discussion that said, "Oh, is he gay?" It was like on every single actor's page, "Is he gay?" And I think that's part of the reason why they took those down. But that's not why I was there. But the people who want to know, is he gay, is because they're gay. And they would like to be able to think that that person is gay and that maybe someday they'll be able to marry them if they met them. That's the point of attractive celebrities. That's why you have the more tabloid things like People magazine or anything where people pose. Like if an actor's doing a sexy pose so that people will find them attractive, they are selling something other than their film. And they're selling their attractiveness to people who will be attracted. So they're trading in their looks or whatever for money and fame and sometimes better projects or movies, or more high profile at least, to bring them more money and more fame, to bring them more projects. But that requires fans. That requires fans to go to your movie, and um, the more money your movie makes based on the number of fans you have means that when you go to do your next movie, you can negotiate for a higher salary, and therefore your own personal fortune grows. And it's not because you're a great actor, because especially when I was growing up in like the 80s and stuff like that, the great actors didn't make that much money. It was the box office titans, and it was because they had a lot of fans, not because people were being, moved by their performances exactly. Sometimes they were, but they enjoyed themselves. They tended to like the person. Say we're talking about Sylvester Stallone. Say we're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, these guys would come on the Tonight Show or, Letterman Show. They would come on and be fun, and then people would like them, not just in the film, but they would like them in the interviews. And these people became their favorites. They became their icons. People looked up to them. People wanted to be like them. Sometimes people wanted to work out and be like them. But sometimes, and then these people would, get married, have kids, marry into famous families, or just marry some other person. They would have scandals that would be in the tabloids. And they would go through it all. But the thing is, their fans were going through it all too. For all these ups and downs, for all these changes in fortune, for people starting out and then becoming huge stars, and then maybe having a bad spot where they fell off the radar, and then coming back up again and having a comeback. I mean, as I said, there are people I've been a fan of for like 40 years. People like, Stallone, I mean, in terms of music and stuff like that, I was a Durrani since I was a little kid. Like I said, I love the Star Wars movies. As a tennis fan, last night I was watching 60 Minutes. They were doing a profile on Rafael Nadal. And it's funny to me, I'm sitting there watching him like he's old family. But I'm looking at him and he's older. And for some reason, he did the thing in Spanish at first. And I'm like, why is he speaking Spanish? His English is fine. You know what I mean? I know him well enough from watching him all these years to know that. They were talking about different matches that I watched. It's their history, but it's my history too because I watched it and I was there. And the fact is, I was a Roger Federer fan. So in that rivalry, I was on Roger's side. But at this point, they're all family in a way. And I know the famous people bristle about that sometimes because they don't know us, but they don't understand. We know them. We don't know all their business. We don't know everything that's going on in their private life, and that's not our business. That's not, something we need to be worried about unless we think someone is harming them, because whether anybody's entering into these relationships with their fans or not, that's what it is. I can't tell you the number of celebrities who won an Oscar or won a tennis match or whatever. They have a comeback and you're just so happy for them. A good example of somebody is John Travolta. Now, again, John Travolta I've known since I was a little kid. He used to be on Welcome Back, Kotter when I was little. And he became super famous from Saturday Night Fever. And he was always around. And then I was Staying Alive. I love Staying Alive as well. And so he was out there and, people have rumors, people have scandals. But then there was a point in time where he became unpopular. I don't even know why. I know he married Kelly Preston because I know that. Nobody was hiding that. It wasn't just in the tabloids. These are the things that happen. And they have children. And, John Travolta was gone for a while, off the radar, became a pilot. He likes flying planes, we know all about his life. Do we have to try very hard? No, because it was right there. but then he came back with Pulp Fiction, and so many of us were happy to see him again. It's like seeing an old friend. He comes back. He has a second half of his career, or even more. This is the major part of it now. And then he had a tragedy. His son died. And I don't know John Travolta. I'd never met him. I never met his son. I felt really bad. Did I cry? You bet I did. A lot of people did. A lot of people feel bad when things, because, again, they're not family, but they're people you've known all your life, okay? They're people you've known for years and years and years. When a celebrity dies, people cry. If like a icon or Prince, Michael Jackson, I mean, don't even, let's not talk about how much I cried when Michael Jackson died. It's just, you have feelings for these people because you've been through, they're part of your life, whether these people know us or not. Whether we are part of their life or they think that we're part of their life or not, we are, in that we showed up. We put money in their coffers one way or another. Even when people are just talking about people online, that's putting money in their coffers. By the number of tweets somebody gets, if they trend or whatever, that's giving them the great life that they enjoy. So it's okay to get mad about fans or not like fans, or if the fans are complaining because you're ruining Star Wars and your instinct is to go turn around and attack them, when if we hadn't loved E.T., if we hadn't loved those movies back in the 80s, would you be where you are? No. We've all been on this planet together. And with fans and Hollywood, or fans and any celebrities, you know, look, I mean, Tiger Woods, I don't even watch golf. You know what I mean? But how many people have triumphed with him when he came back? How many people have gone up and down with Tiger Woods? Nobody had feelings when things happened to this man, when he won, when he lost, when he just had a very bad accident. People weren't praying for him. Bet they were. You bet they were. David Ortiz. Okay, David Ortiz. I don't really watch baseball. Let me tell you something. When that man was stabbed or shot, or what did they do? They shot him, right? Yeah. Didn't they? Anyway, the whole place, everybody was around here. I'm in Massachusetts. We're praying like crazy. I remember the first thought in my mind, I didn't even know, I don't know why I was like, can they borrow the Patriots plane? I don't know why I didn't realize the Red Sox had a plane. But I was like, they gotta get him. They gotta bring him back. I don't watch baseball. I was like, they gotta bring him to Boston so they can take care of him. That's what I'm thinking. What did they do? The plane went and got him. You know what I mean? Because he mattered that much to everybody, not just the people. I mean, he wasn't playing for the team anymore. But there was a loyalty. There, you know, you don't just... He's a king in these parts. And people, you're not supposed to worship people. You're not supposed to worship anyone. It's not worship. It's actual feelings for these people. You care about these people. You want them to do well. And then when they turn around on you and act like you're just plebes, or you're just these people who aren't letting you have your vision for the films that you own, or for the direction you want to take these in, which is in a direction away from the fans who put you there. You know, if you want to say, well, okay, yes, this kind of person, this gender of person, this race of person, you've been spending money on our films for decades, but we don't like you anymore. We're going to do everything we can to tell you how horrible you are every day, because we want to go in this new direction and get these other fans that don't really care about us. It's not cool. It's not nothing. It's not just money and business. As I said before, you as a fan, I said years ago, if I would have been able to get a job as a fan, then my life would have been perfect. That's where my true talent lies. But I never quite figured that out. There were points in time where I was getting there, and then life happened, and I had to just get distracted with real problems in real life, and was not able to get anything together. But so I know there's so many. I mean, I couldn't even rattle off the names of all the celebrities that I know all their business, whether I tried to or not. You just know, when something happens to people. You know when, I mean, there are people like who, like I said, even if we weren't there, they don't know us. We never stood in the same room as them. We know their whole life. We saw, I mean, I like to think of Robert Downey Jr. and Mel Gibson because I remember, the 80s and how popular they were, especially around here in my house. And I remember a time when Robert Downey Jr. was having a bad time, and he was a lost cause. And then at one point, the only person who would hire him was Mel Gibson. And because they had worked together, and then time marches on, and Mel Gibson becomes, unpopular. And it's Robert Downey Jr. who now is Iron Man. And you see these things, and you know life, and you know how people are, and you know what people struggles, and it's not, none of these people are perfect. None of these people, I can't believe I'm doing this when it's thundering. Because I'm afraid of thunder. But they don't owe us anything, and we don't owe them anything either. We don't owe them, blind allegiance, and they don't have to do fan service. They don't have to make everything exactly what the fans want either. But there is something, but the music's between us. There's something there that's not just, whatever. Like I said, I mean, as a Duranie, there were points in time where Duran Duran was not popular, but they had those die-hard fans, and it was those die-hard fans that kept showing up in the lean years when they were random assortments of members. And I think when you have those downtimes, then when you come back for the second half of your career, or the third incarnation of your career, whatever, you realize, it's the diehards that are going to stick with you, as they now say, ride or die, that you need them. You don't cast them aside. If you do, you do it at your own peril. And that goes for any single celebrity, that goes for any movie studio, that goes for anybody who just thinks that, they're just consumers of our product. That's not how celebrity ever was. I mean, going all the way back, go back to early Hollywood. There was had a Hopper, there were tabloids, and it was there for a reason. But you don't treat people like crap, and fans have been being treated like crap. Because of election cycles, because people don't want people prying into their lives. And when you're taking that kind of jaundiced view at the people who want you to do well, the people who are rooting for you, the people who have always shown up for you, you need to consider what you value. Because if everybody values money because money has a value, but is that all you value? Because you don't get that money without the fans. You don't. You can't say, I mean, like in the election cycle, people like, when I was little, Happy Days was on. And you would like to think that people like Fonzie and Richie Cunningham are not going to hate your guts because of somebody that you voted for. But it happens. And it's like, it's not just nothing. It's not just people. It's people they don't know. But we all know you. We're going to be there to cheer you when you win. And we're going to be there to feel bad when you fall. And they should appreciate the support. The people in Hollywood, I'm not talking specifically about those guys. Anybody who's famous, who's had fans, who show up for their movies over the years, whether they're good or not, who talk about them and keep their name out there in the lean years. If you haven't had lean years yet, you may need the fans someday. You don't want to tell them all to go to hell. You don't want to insult them and say that they're racists and stuff like that because they don't go along with your current narrative or the product you're trying to push, whether that product is actual product or it's yourself. If you don't want fans, if you don't want to be famous, you want to be an actor or something, go do regional theater. Go do, better than that. Go do Broadway or something like that where, yeah, you'll have Broadway fans, but they're not going to be in your business. You just want to be an actor because of the craft. Go do that. Have a decent life where you get to some applause and you may sign some playbills, but nobody's minding your business. There's no reason why you can't do that. There are plenty of actors who have no social media. There are some actors who only do it a little bit because they're required to, because they're in a comic book movie. Like Jake Gyllenhaal or somebody like that. You end up in Spider-Man, he's got an Instagram account. Then he does a couple posts and likes some Tom Holland posts, and off into the sunset he goes because he doesn't care about that stuff. You don't have to. But if Jake Gyllenhaal wants something, I should be happy. I know I busted my ass going to New York when I didn't have the money to do it, to see him twice in Sunday in the Park with George. But, and any good thing that happened to him, I'd be happy for. If anything bad happens to him, I hope not. I would feel bad. That goes back to Brokeback Mountain. That goes back to feeling bad when Heath Ledger died. I mean, there's, like I said, it's not nothing. The emotions that your fans have for you, they're not nothing. We go to the movies and we cry with you portraying a character, but as I said, we cry with you when bad things happen to you, and we root for you when you come back. And we're not people just to be treated like obstacles in your way of a life you're trying to create, that, or a narrative you're trying to present. As far as fan and famous person go, we're in it together. We're all in this together. You have fans and they like you. Don't spin on them. Don't tell them they're horrible people, because they'll be there someday when you need a fan, or if you completely fall apart, they might give you a ride somewhere or do something. They're there to say, yeah, this guy's awesome, you should watch his movie. And maybe they'll be critical sometimes if they think you need to hear that. Maybe they will say, you know what, this movie's not good. Or they'll say, you know what, I don't know, they're hanging around with that bad person. Maybe that person's not treating them well. I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to say it. When I was a kid, Andy Gibb. I mentioned how much I liked Andy Gibb before. He had a famous girlfriend who a lot of people thought was bad for him. The man died at 30. He had had a drug problem previously. But, it happens where sometimes the fans know what's going on and the people know what's going on. And you can say, oh no, this happened and that happened or whatever, but fans know. A lot of times fans know. And to think that they're doing something bad to you when they're looking out for you, or to think that the fans who are complaining that your movies suck when they do is just to be mean to you. Again, If you're putting out trash and you expect people to just consume it, then you think of people as, you know, trash compactors, basically, or a garbage dump. Your fans are a garbage dump to you. If you need to think, there is a relationship between any celebrity, sports celebrity, an athlete, actors, actresses, movie directors, movie studios, musicians, groups, recording artists, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we show up, buy your records, pay for tickets, you know, and like I said, we'll cry if you die. We'll pray that you don't. We'll cheer you winning that Oscar. We'll cheer you winning that Grammy. We'll want you to have all the best things in life. But, I don't know, don't think that we're out to get you. Don't think that we are haters. Don't think that we're here to make your life a living hell. We're not. We're your fans. And we want to see you do well. Whoever you are. If you're a movie franchise, if you're an actor, if you're an athlete, if you are a director, if you are, I don't know, a makeup artist. We appreciate your work and we want to see it and we want to see you do well. It's not all about hate and you getting people to do what you want and buy what you want and believe false narratives. Okay? Don't disrespect people like that. They won't be there when you need them. And that's not cool. And nobody wants to do that, but you can't treat people like trash or like a trash compactor or a dump. They're just going to take whatever you give. You can't treat people. That's treating people bad. And fans are people. Whether you want to believe it or not. Fans are people. Just like you. My 2 cents.